First question, in other talks you've noted that your understanding of no salvation outside the church is related to the Platonic rather than Aristotelian thought. Can you expand on that?
Sure. One of the key differences historically between Platonists and Aristotelians was the relationship of the will and the intellect. For the Platonist and for the Neoplatonist, for the Aristotelian and the Neo-Aristotelian, were opposed to one another. For the Platonist, the will precedes the intellect. For the Aristotelian, the intellect precedes the will. Now, what does that mean? For the Platonist, the human being, from the moment of his origin, is oriented toward goodwill or bad will. Goodwill being love of self, goodwill being love of God, bad will being love of self. And to the degree that he has goodwill, to that degree he reaches out to the truth. To the degree that he has bad will, he reaches out toward whatever pleases him. And that's an important distinction. It isn't simply between truth and falsehood. It's truth and what pleases me. And so, for the Christian Neoplatonist, one's entire life is spent bobbing back and forth between good and bad will. And mind you, we each have both.
Yeah.
So we're good-willed to the extent that we're after God, and bad-willed to the extent that we're after our own pleasure, mental, physical, or anything else. And obviously, these two qualities coexist in each of us at all times until the moment we die.
Okay.
So there's a constant struggle there, or should be. If there isn't a constant struggle, the likelihood is you've given in and you're going to hell.
Yeah.
But that being the case, if the individual truly wants God, he wants truth, God will get that truth to him one way or the other, through natural means or through supernatural means. But nobody, under this reading of reality, there's no accidents, and nobody will go to hell through some mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who wants truth will in fact be able to unite to the church one way or the other before they're gone. For the Aristotelian, it's very different. For him, the intellect precedes the will. He is born as a tabula rasa, clean slate. He can't know the good unless he's taught the good.
Oh.
He can't know the evil unless he's taught evil. So you see, it becomes almost a question of chance.
Yeah.
Because if he's brought up by nice people, or he's brought up by human wolves.
Yeah. Wow.
It completely turns the thing on its head. And one thing that's also important to bear in mind is that the church fathers and the early scholastics were all Christian Neoplatonists, which is why this issue did not really arise in the church until after the time of St. Thomas. And then you have the discovery of the New World, and you have all these people who, so far as we could tell, again, historically speaking, it's not that simple, but so far as we could tell, had never had any access to the faith. How could a just God send those people to hell?
So St. Thomas Aquinas, his philosophy was based on Aristotelian.
Correct.
Okay.
And over a long period of time, I mean, he himself said, if you want the faith, if you want the truth, God will get an angel to you.
Okay.
I mean, he himself said that. Because, it's the curse of thinkers, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, never to see the results of their thought. Never to see it play out.
Yeah.
And believe me, there's something wrong with everybody's thinking in this area, because every philosopher is trying to describe the undescribable, the totality of the real.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You just can't. Now, another difference between the two frames of reference that has, you might say, repercussions, is that for the Platonist, separating theology and philosophy is a very hard thing to do. Why? Because they both cover aspects of the same reality. And really, for the Christian Neoplatonist, although there's a distinction between the two, the idea of a philosophy completely independent from theology is impossible, if theology is real. But for the Aristotelian, not for St. Thomas, who explicitly denied it. Again, St. Thomas really is not quite as much of an Aristotelian, or to be honest with you, as much of a Thomist as people would make him out to be. But nevertheless, it was Aristotelians who came up with the idea of the double truth, which completely separates the two. That something can be true in theology and false in philosophy.
Wow.
Or vice versa. And St. Thomas denied it explicitly and refuted it beautifully. Just,
Yeah.
for all those people who think Coulombe hates Thomas, well, they're barking up the wrong tree. But, nevertheless, as a working model, the double truth has become what we all hold. I'll give you a concrete example. It was a question of evolution when I was in high school, and Brother Lucius, my brilliant religion teacher, was lecturing, as he tended to do, that being his job and stuff. And he was going on about evolution, so I said, well, brother, that's great. At what point did the soul enter the ape, and when did the ape fall? Now, mind you, there are theistic evolutionists who could come up with much better answers to this.
Okay.
All right, so before you jump on me about that, let me just get that out there. But Brother Lucius's answer was a brilliant illustration of the double truth. He said, oh, Coulombe, you're mixing apples and oranges. The one is a biological truth. The other is a theological truth. And the words popped out of my mouth before I could stop them. I said, oh, you mean they're both lies? I get it. That's fine. I couldn't help it. I was not a nice person when I was young. Thank God I've improved. Anyway, no, so that is the double truth in action, and we do it in everything. We have totally separated religion from real life. Perhaps the epitome of this turning theology into fantasy was mentioned in the International Theological Commission's piece on limbo, when they declared during their course their historical description of the belief in limbo, they declared that in the middle of the 20th century, theologians began to demand the right to imagine new solutions. But that is a perfect illustration of where the double truth has brought us. Sure, you can come up with anything you like. You can imagine anything you wish, because theology is not real in the sense that philosophy is, i.e. sciences and so forth.
Wow.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, of course. I don't judge.